with your host, Andrew Romanella.
When you play Battle in Mario Kart and you don't turn off any of the items, there are bananas everywhere. I mean, it's like you're losing your balloons because you're slipping on bananas left and right. Bananas everywhere. What's going on, everybody? Welcome into another edition of The Rome Show here on 12ouncesports.com. Broadcast live on YouTube, Twitter, or X, whatever you call it. How we doing this morning? Happy Tuesday, November 19th, 2024. I am your host, Andrew Romanella. I got you for the next 30 to 32 minutes, and we have some things to talk about. Unfortunately, I regret to inform you that one Rocky Romanella will not be joining the show today for Hockey with Rocky on this Tuesday at 7:10. He is traveling right now for his primary work. So his Tuesday slot at 7:10 will now be moved to a Wednesday slot at 7:10. So tune in tomorrow, 7:10 in the morning, for all your Hockey with Rocky updates, and you will be able to hear all of the National Hockey League knowledge that you need. Unfortunately, not now, but still so much to get to. Monday Night Football, Battle of Texas, which for at least a half felt like it could have been a football game, and then the Houston Texans did what the Houston Texans were supposed to do and destroyed the Dallas Cowboys on a Monday. There was news from another National League Football Conference East team. That would be the New York Football Giants. They made a splash by making a quarterback change. We'll dive into that quickly as well. Plus, I had some hockey stuff for you that we could get to with that Rocky guy, which we can always get to as well. So that's your slate today, and we finished with bananas, and it looks like Monday night was another great night for Andrew in the bushels category. So hopefully people have been following along. I think the record's like 147 and 115, 116, somewhere in that range. So we are like 30 games over 500 when it comes to our bananas, okay? I'm just saying, if at any point in time during this show you're like, I really only want to listen to like 5 minutes of this guy today, and you're going to choose which 5 minutes, maybe if you want to make some money, the last 5 minutes is the 5 minutes you must choose. If you want to listen to the entire show, you think it's great, you need to share it. Subscribe to the YouTube page, 12OZ Sports. Share it with a friend via the social media, 12OZ Sports. And then in both of those areas, that is your interaction with the show as well. So you could subscribe, you could follow, you could watch, you could listen, you could share it with a friend, and then you can comment, all on YouTube and all on X. Just go to 12OZ Sports and you will see everything you need. All right, Monday Night Football. Here we go. Last night, the Texans defeated the Cowboys 34-10. Before we move on, we let you know the Cowboys, who were somebody that was predicted to potentially win this National Football Conference East division, is now sitting at 3-7 and is competing for a top 5, no matter what, top 10 draft pick come April 2025. Not exactly what the Dallas Cowboys were envisioning through week 11 of their season. They played Cooper Rush at quarterback because, as most know, Dak Prescott is out for the year with a season-ending hamstring injury. I'm sure if you were a true Cowboys fan, seeing him in the booth during the game was probably super enjoyable for you. You lost your defensive coordinator in Dan Campbell to being the head coach of the Washington Commanders. And I think what you're learning, outside of the fact that we all knew that playing in Dallas, or the Dallas Cowboys in general, tend to err on the side of spectacle and event over sports team, I think it's all starting to come to a head here in Dallas, okay? You've had an owner that has owned the team for essentially 40 plus years. And in that time, he took a team that was pretty good with a Hall of Fame head coach in Tom Landry. And he brought the likes of Jimmy Johnson, Troy Aikman, Emmitt Smith, right? Michael Irvin, all these great guys, Hall of Famers. They've won 3 Super Bowls. Now, obviously, those Super Bowls in the 80s and 90s, since Jerry Jones has taken over the franchise, but have built a lot of their star power, pun intended, on what went on 35 plus years ago. Not what goes on now. But kudos to Jerry Jones. Kudos to the Dallas Cowboys franchise and organization. You've not been a perennial football powerhouse for over 30 years, and yet you continue to produce money, which is the idea of a business, right? Make money, which they do, and continue to be a spectacle, I guess you should say, or an attraction. That's probably a better word. An attraction, both in the world, in the United States of America, and in the National Football League. And I say all that to say this, because of the direction of the franchise, probably the best way to put it, because of the ideas of it looks like we'd rather make a few more $1 billion than win a few more Super Bowls. Does not matter what you want to tell me. That is what it looks like. Then you start to hear that fans are allowed to take tours of the facility while the players are practicing and guys are in the weight room pounding out weights. And you got me and my family rolling by like, oh, hey, Tony Romo, Jake Ferguson, Jason Witten, woo, Micah Parsons, there he is waving me. It's like guys trying to like legitimately get ready for his job, A, but B, a career with which you can't really take a second off when taking care of your body because you are one hit away, one play away from your career being over in that sport. And so you kind of put all this into a mixing bowl. Now, the way the Dallas Cowboys operate, their starting quarterback, even injured, doesn't matter, is in the booth doing an interview mid-game. Their starting middle linebacker, who people started to compare when his career started to Lawrence Taylor, which I hope I squashed last week on the Rome Show, 12-ounce sports, 7 a.m. every single day. Micah Parsons has a podcast every Tuesday. Your general manager is not worried as much about football as he is about, let's make a television show with the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders, sell that to Netflix. We can make a few billion in that area too. Let's do tours every single day so we can make money hand over fist. I don't think in the history of time when the two best players or presumed best players on the team in the quarterback and the middle linebacker on the other side have vesting interests outside of the sport that they're getting paid to dominate is not going to be a recipe for a championship. I think I can almost guarantee that. It's hard enough to win in this league when you're focused on winning in this league every single day. In my opinion, it is one of the most, if not the most embarrassing season you've ever seen from a franchise right now out of the Dallas Cowboys. You cannot have a roster with some of these players on it and tell me that you should be 3-7 right now. You want to blame the coach? Blame the coach. You want to blame the quarterback? You want to blame the middle linebacker? You want to blame the defensive coordinator, the offensive coordinator? You could blame everybody. Everybody is to blame. But at the end of the day, the buck stops at the top. And the owner of this franchise is not interested in winning football games. And that is okay. Like, that's cool, man. Just call a spade a spade. If you want to win football games and you want to be the best franchise in the National Football League, start making decisions to do that. Okay? But don't sell us a bag of goods right? Like you are actually trying to win football games. And then the buy-in is so little. The buy-in is so small that your best player on defense is willing to throw your head coach under the bus on a podcast last week, and your starting quarterback, who's making the most money on your team, quite possibly in the league, is sitting in the booth in the middle of a Monday night football game talking to the booth. And then we put it on Instagram like, oh, Dak's reaction to going for it on fourth. And how about Dak gets his ass, pardon my language, down to the sidelines like every other quarterback that's been hurt or benched or injured or whatever in their career, puts the headset on and actually is involved in the team to win a football game? Why doesn't Dak get with the offensive coordinator and Cooper Rush and the backup quarterback and the quarterback's coach and get them together and be like, how we rolling right now? We're down 17-10. We actually have a chance here. Boy, the difference between 4-6 and 3-7 in this year's NFL, huge. With the amount of parity in this year's NFL, huge. Instead, you got that. And that last night, maybe not. I don't even care about the football field on the play. Just start to look at all of the other factors with the Dallas Cowboys, okay? It's never really just about football, and there's a reason for that. And I would think if you go talk to Emmitt Smith and you go talk to Troy Aikman and you go talk to Mike and you go talk to Jimmy Johnson, the reason why Jimmy Johnson probably didn't get along with Jerry Jones is because Jimmy Johnson wanted to win football games. Hello? Like making money and that stuff was not an idea for Jimmy Johnson based on what he did at the University of Miami, turning that football team around. The whole identity of the U was created by Jimmy Johnson in those eras of Miami football. The only thing Jimmy Johnson wanted to do was be the best football team in the country, probably despite some other things that he should have cared about too, like off the field and yada, yada, yada. But the reason Jimmy Johnson and Jerry Jones did not get along is because Jimmy Johnson wanted to win football games and Jerry Jones wanted to make money. And I'm not going to blame Jerry for that, but stop selling me a bag of goods. Stop putting the Dallas Cowboys on primetime. Stop acting like this team. I am so tired of watching the Dallas Cowboys on primetime. I don't care about them being on Thanksgiving. What's my attraction to the Cowboys on Thanksgiving? Because it's always happened that way. I don't care. You should have given me the Bills and the Chiefs on Thanksgiving. Why don't you give me the the Eagles versus the Commanders on Thanksgiving? How about that? How about Harbaugh versus Harbaugh on Thanksgiving? That's what we want. That's what we're looking for. I don't care about Jerry Jones. I don't care about Dak Prescott, Mika, Dak. I don't want any of these people anymore. I am so out on everything Dallas Cowboys for the rest of time. It is off the charts. It is terrible. So that's my vibes on what I saw last night. If you want the real football information, Joe Mixon went off. He had 3 touchdowns, ran for 109 yards. The Texans ran for 141 on the ground. CJ Stroud did not throw a touchdown pass last night for the Texans. He did throw for 257 yards. I wanted to show you 2 of those 3 Joe Mixon. And they've lost some of the most amount. And here's the second touchdown. And Joe Mixon is essentially the difference maker in this game last night for the Texans. And the story, in my opinion, finished with the fourth quarter because it was a tight game, okay? It was 20-10. Dallas decided to go for it on fourth down instead of kicking a field goal to make it 20-13. And then Houston came back after that moment and scored 14 unanswered points to solidify the victory. And to me, that right there is the stamp of I believe in this Texans team as a contender. I'm not going to sit here and say they're going to the Super Bowl. I'm definitely not going to sit here and say they're better than the Bills or the Chiefs or the Detroit Lions or some other teams in the National Football League. Absolutely not. But I will sit here and tell you they are a good football team that if I had to rank a top 6 in the league, I'd probably put them in the 5 or the 6 slot, which tells me you get in, anything can happen. And when you have a quarterback like that, clearly the Tank Dell CJ Stroud connection stayed. Nico Collins came back last night. At some point, you're going to add Stephon Diggs to that offense as well. But even if you didn't, and you just took a combination of each of those two, I am buying high on the Houston Texans right now. Here is that AFC standings on your screen right now. If you were wondering, the top section being the AFC East. If you're wondering why every single time I put standings up on the screen and the Dolphins are highlighted, it's because in every sports program I have, online, on my phone, whatever, the Dolphins are favorited. So usually they'll give me that highlight line. Nonetheless, okay, you can see that Pittsburgh win over Baltimore was gigantic over the weekend because now it's a 1.5 game lead. You can see the Texans winning last night was also gigantic because the Colts were able to squeak that victory out against the Jets, but the Texans now hold a full 2-game lead on the Colts. And then the Chiefs, it's like, oh, they were undefeated. Yeah, but they're only 2 games up on the Chargers. The Chargers are playing really well. And oh, by the way, the Broncos are 6-3. 6-5. So they are right there fighting for it as well. So I would say that the wild card is going to come from a mix of the Colts, Chargers, Broncos, Dolphins, Ravens. And then you're going to have like, what do the Bengals do? You know, are they able to fight their way in there? And I think, you know, you can pretty much put the coffin on the New York Jetropolitans. On the flip side, here's the NFC. All right, starting with the NFC East, as we mentioned, the Eagles 1.5 up on the Commanders because that big victory on Thursday. That's 2 straight for the Commanders. I want everyone to take a look over at the right side column in the Atlantic East. That's the conference we play in at the college level, the NFC East. And you're going to notice there's a lot of losing going on in the NFC East division. Often considered the best division in football, is not this year. The Eagles, though, have won 6 straight, taking advantage of the bad streak for the division. You know, you'd love to be a Lions fan, right? First time in like 60 something years, they've started 9-1, won 9 of their first 10. But yet the Vikings with Sam Darnold at the helm are 8-2. So it's like, cool, greatest year in the history of the Detroit Lions, coupled with the Vikings like being elite. So you can't even like just lock up this division. But and then the Packers are 7-3. So I don't think the Packers necessarily have as fighting of a chance there. I think this is the Detroit Lions division to lose. I'm not just saying that because they're in first place. I think they're the best of those 3 teams. Jared Goff arguably having an MVP season. The NFC South is a coin flip. You could grab any of the 3 teams, Saints to Falcons, scramble them up against a wall, throw it, and that team could possibly win this division. Hell, there's a small, minute, crazy little chance that the Carolina Panthers come out of here and they're fighting for it. If you think about it, the Panthers, who we believe would be the worst team in the National Football League, are 3.5 games back of the Falcons, who have lost 2 straight, and the Panthers have won 2 straight. That's just the type of NFL we're in right now. And as a friendly reminder, the Bucs were 4-2. Now they're 4-6. So just a lot of losing going on in the NFC South. Also a crapshoot division. Then finally, the NFC West. I'm going to say this is the Cardinals and the Rams fighting here. The Seahawks, big win against the 49ers, but both the Niners and the Seahawks, injuries up to wazoo, inconsistency to wazoo. The Rams have a little bit of that as well. The most consistent team in the NFC West, right now, Arizona Cardinals. They're only 1 game up. That whole division is 500. And then the Arizona Cardinals are 6-4. So again, another division. It could be a crapshoot. I just have the best feeling about Arizona because they've played the most consistent football to this point. We've had a really good show, at least in my opinion. And sometimes when you're on a microphone, you have no idea what people think if they're not writing in or commenting or whatever. So you're like, yeah, I feel kind of good today. This feels like a pretty good show. So we're going to take a quick commercial break before we ruin that. We're going to regroup. We're going to come back on the Rome Show, and we're going to talk Daniel Jones being benched for Danny DeVito. No, but close for the 3rd string quarterback of the New York Football Giants. And then we got our daily picks for you here at the Rome Show, 12OZ Sports, YouTube Live, and X. Andrew Romanella back after this.
Need tickets to that next event? Well, at 12 Ounce Sports, we've got them with soccer anywhere in the world. Tickets to any venue, any sport. Want to go to NCAA or NFL football matches? We've got them.
Yeah.
Baseball at every level. Every Power 5 matchup is available. Don't forget, costumes and paint are optional. What's that? You want to go to Broadway? We have those too. Want to jam out? Every concert, every artist. That's right, at 12 Ounce Sports, we've got the tickets for less. 12ozsports.com/tickets. That's 12ouncesports.com/tickets.
Welcome to MyBookie. You're ready to create an account and start making money, and we're here to help. And remember, you can get a bonus of up to $1,000 on your first deposit. Now you're ready to bet. Just go to mybookie.ag, visit the sportsbook, click on your bet, and input the amount you want to risk or win in the bet slip. Yes, it's that easy. Just remember, at MyBookie, you play, you win, you get paid.
Yeah. The Rome Show. 12ouncesports.com. YouTube Live X. All the good stuff. Andrew Romanello. We got some minutes left in this show. We hope you're enjoying it. If you've enjoyed it so much you want to share it with a friend, tell them to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Tell them to follow me on X, Coach Romo24. Follow the show, or excuse me, the station, 12OZ Sports. Follow the show, The Rome Show 1. All these are available on all the platforms. Follow the pod, The Rome Show Podcast, wherever you get your podcasts, Apple, Google, Spotify, whatever. It's like 99 sites you can get a podcast at. You have so many avenues to listen to this show. My favorite being 12ozsports.com or youtube.com/12ozsports or x.com/12ozsports. I like those three because I can comment live on all the shows of all of my other compadres, and then they can see it and then put it up on the show, much like I put this question sticker up on the board right now. Check it out on your screen. I just want to know your Super Bowl favorite in the NFL, okay? Who is your Super Bowl favorite right now in the National Football League? I will tell you mine right after I let you know that the New York Football Giants have decided to move on from Daniel Jones as the starting quarterback of the team. After signing him to a 4-year, $160 million contract 2 years ago, the New York Giants are essentially deciding to move on from Daniel Jones. They have an opt-out, I think, in the offseason of this year. There's also some like $23 million injury clause, I think, that they're trying to avoid, which is him playing the last 7 games of the year, them being terrible, him getting injured, them still owing him like $23 million. Something that you do not want if you're a franchise in the National Football League. Daniel Jones, since the playoff victory for the New York Giants and Brian Daboll in 2022, Daniel Jones has started 16 games since that playoff victory. He is 3-13 during that span. During the 2024 season, Daniel Jones has thrown 10 touchdowns to 13 interceptions. Now, you might be saying to yourself, why did the Giants sign a backup quarterback in Drew Lock for $5 million if they're just going to give the reins to Tommy DeVito? According to Brian Daboll, It is because the spark that Tommy DeVito gave last year when playing for an injured Daniel Jones and Tyrod Taylor. I don't know if you remember that time period. We thought we'd bring it to your screen. During that time, Daniel Jones, Tommy DeVito, hold please. Yep, I deserve that. During the 2023 season, Tommy DeVito played in 9 games for the football Giants, starting 7 of them. He was 4-5, or the Giants were 4-5 when he was at some point in time during the game quarterbacking the team. They were 3-4 with him as the starter. He threw for 1,101 yards, 8 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. He also added 195 rushing yards and 1 TD. Overall, in his 9 games total, because in the 2 games that he didn't play from a starting standpoint, he went 4 for 9 with some stat line there. So I just took all 9 games, okay, which is up on your screen right now if you want to look at it yourself. All right. He threw 114 completions and 178 attempts for a 64% completion percentage. So if you're looking at the numbers from Tommy DeVito and you're looking at, to Brian Daboll's point, the spark that he gave the team last year, and you're thinking about a franchise in a not very good place, you say to yourself, it's not the worst decision. Now, the thing that is weird for everybody is, why the hell did you sign Drew Lock, A, if this was going to be your decision coming out of Daniel Jones, but B, furthermore, why then has Tommy DeVito been the 3rd string quarterback? And my only guess or answer to that question is they signed Drew Lock in belief that if they were good and Daniel Jones got hurt or they had to bench him, Drew Lock would be the answer. So if you flip the record, let's say we're 8-2 and Daniel Jones just got knocked out for the rest of the year. It sounds like Drew Lock would be the starting quarterback. But since we're 2-8 and Daniel Jones is being benched and essentially relieved of his duties for the rest of his time in the NFL as a Giants player, you're going to go to Tommy DeVito because you know you still might put butts in the seats for a team that is essentially atrocious at football. That is my only assumption, which is very not right for Drew Lock, because Drew Lock signs a contract to be a backup quarterback to get his next job, right? I mean, sure, I'd sign to be a backup head coach for $5 million. Sign me up right now. Where do I turn my resume in? Not an assistant, no. Not the head coach either. I'd be the backup head coach. I only have to be called in certain moments. If the head coach is sick one day or he gets thrown out of the game, I can jump into I can jump in and I can head coach the rest of the ball club, right? It's like those commercials you see right now with the backup quarterback coming to help the wife doing the stuff. So at the end of the day, the Giants are making a franchise decision here with Tommy DeVito, and unfortunately have just killed Drew Lock's opportunity to put more film out there for his next opportunity. Unless the Giants have said to Drew Lock, yo, here's the deal, man. We got to play this guy. The fans love him here. If we don't play this guy and we play you, no disrespect to you, no one's showing up to this place, and we still need people to show up. So why don't we do this? Handshake deal under the table. We'll give you a 2-year deal after the end of this, and you can compete for our starting quarterback job next year. Maybe that's what went on, and maybe that's what the Giants should do. I have no idea. But this smells like a situation where it might not have been Tommy DeVito's turn based on the depth chart and the actual football play this year, but the Giants are making a decision for their fan base as much as they're making a decision for their football team. So we'll see. I'll be there Sunday. So I will be on ground live reporting for you at MetLife Stadium. Let's give you the final segment of the show before we get out of here today. All right. Last night, 3-1. CJ Stroud over 200 throwing yards. Check. Joe Mixon touchdown and over on his yards. Choose which one. Check. Nico Collins touchdown. Houston -7. Check. 3-1 day for Andrew. His record moves to 150 and 117. We're going to write that down so we stop having to do math while on the show. Tonight, we were going to go with a hockey extravaganza, as we do every Tuesday when it's supposed hockey with Rocky, which is now tomorrow at 7:10. So we're going to take the Florida Panthers against the Winnipeg Jets. The Winnipeg Jets, starting the season at 15-1, have now lost 2 straight, one to the Tampa Bay Lightning and the other last night to the aforementioned Florida Panthers. The Florida Panthers and the Winnipeg Jets play a home and home. Okay, well, I'm going to take Florida again tonight because I think Florida's playing some of the best puck in the National Hockey League, and you're just catching the Jets in that first losing streak of the year. I'm going to go to Edmonton. I'm going to take Leon Draisaitl with a point plus tonight. He's got 11 goals and 23 assists on the year, so I feel like Leon Draisaitl is going to be my guy for a point for the Bananas. Okay, and then we're going to finish up with Philip Gustafson over on saves. Draisaitl plays the Senators, by the way, and Gustafson, they are taking on the St. Louis Blues. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is your Daily Bananas. I hope you had a good one, and the Rome Show. 12OZ Sports, broadcast live, YouTube, and X. I'm Andrew Romanella. Have an electric day. If you need to brand that, rep it, RomeShowShop.com. You know the deal. Follow 12OZ Sports everywhere and get back with us tomorrow, 7 a.m., like we do every single day here on 12OZ Sports. Hey, I'll see you tomorrow. Peace!
Thank you for listening.